Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Kingston Technical High School in mourning after altercation ended deadly. Hurricane Ian is set to become the largest natural disaster in Florida's history. And later in sports, Talawa's Royals meet in CPL final. I'm Kelisha Williams and here are the details. Up first this afternoon, it was a morning of mourning at the Kingston Technical High School 24 hours after a female student stabbed one of her peers to death at the institution. Now, as Sandy Williams reports it will take some time before normality is restored at the school, now crippled by trauma.
It is a very sad day here for the Kingston Technical High School family. The school has been filled with weeping and wailing from students, especially those who would have been close to Michian Campbell. Now, Michian Campbell was fatally stabbed in the neck and head during a physical altercation with another student yesterday afternoon on the school's compound. And so some students would have witnessed the gruesome act. One student told me that she could not sleep last night. Principal of the institution, Martel Campbell, says everyone at the school is still in shock.
Grieving, and there's a lot of emotions. And as an institution, we will arise from it and we will grow stronger. It also prompts us to resolve to ensure that all our students, and not just our institution, but all schools, ensure that our students are equipped with skills and tools to deal with conflict.
The Ministry of Education has also deployed a team of more than 20 counselors to provide support for distraught students and teachers.
Because many teachers wept, many teachers are in tears. But the support is there this morning, and we intend to move beyond this as an institution.
In the meantime, Mr. Campbell insists the school does not have a security challenge. He has also rubbished claims that only boys were being searched upon entry at the school.
However, I must say this is a very large campus, and of course there are students from the area, and of course there are outside external influence. But of course we are working with the police and security companies that we have hired, and they will do a full review and they will so guide us as to what else we can put in place to ensure that our school is more secure.
Reporting from the Kingston Technical High School, I'm Sandy Williams for TVJ News.
We go now to the latest on Hurricane Ian. Officials say the hurricane is set to become the largest natural disaster in Florida's history. At least 19 people have been killed and certain rescue efforts are still ongoing. Now Ian has its sights set on the Carolinas. Ivan Rodriguez is in Fort Myers, where they have seen the worst of the damage. More from the CNN.
We want to show you some of these unbelievable images from Fort Myers today. Behind me, you can see boats just packed on top of each other. All of these were in the marina about 200 feet away. Heavy winds from Hurricane Ian brought them onto land. Not only are we seeing boats, but also concrete slabs that belonged to the dock that was also in the marina. We know that today, search and rescue efforts are continuing and crews are going door to door in order to perform wellness checks. In Lee County, where we are, we know at least 5 deaths are related to the storm.
Total devastation, catastrophic. Those are words that come to mind when you see what you see.
2 days after Hurricane Ian slammed into Florida's southwest coast, and many are only just beginning to grapple with the damage and devastation left behind.
Being so hardworking honestly doesn't matter. It just is destroyed and it's ruined. And then you have to start all over again. And honestly, where do you start? How do you start in this?
Almost 2 million are still without power, and in Lee County, 85% of its residents are without running water.
It looks like a bomb went off here, to be honest with you. It's beyond what I thought was capable of happening.
Rescuers have gone to more than 3,000 homes, with many residents having to be plucked from roofs and partially submerged cars. The mayor of Fort Myers says they have finished their rescue efforts.
We have rescued upwards of 200 people so far. Talked to the fire chief yesterday. He feels pretty comfortable that we've gotten everybody.
Now, Ian is expected to head toward the Carolinas and northeast Georgia after intensifying again to a Category 1 hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean. Those governors have issued state of emergency orders ahead of the storm, and many residents are being told to hunker down.
Worst case is we get 5 foot on top of a high tide, and you'll have water coming right up where we're standing.
Governor DeSantis says across the state, 1.9 million people are still without power. Here in Lee County, a curfew is also in place, mainly because they want people to stay off those roads in order for emergency crews and utility trucks to pass through.
Now back home, Foreign Affairs Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith says the country stands ready to assist Jamaicans in need of help following the passage of Hurricane Ian in Cuba and Florida. She was speaking in the Senate this morning.
Our consulate has been in touch with several Jamaicans across the state, assisted by several community groups and leaders, including members of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. As they have explained, and as you would have heard, Mr. President, the majority of Jamaicans are generally located in counties which were not in the areas worst hit. So again, we are appreciative while being sensitive to the challenges experienced by the wider citizenry impacted.
Now, Senator Johnson-Smith also provided an update on students studying in Cuba following the hurricane's passage there earlier this week.
Our embassy in Havana continues to check on the well-being of our 28 scholarship students and approximately 50 self-financed students. Students with whom the embassy has been in touch, and these are the majority and representatives, are all in good spirits. And they, as I am sure, like members here, understand that recovery from a natural disaster is an island-wide and a steady process which requires some patience and understanding. I understand, of course, that the scholarship students who are there with the support of the Cuban government are very cognizant of this and are being responsible and patient with the process. We are encouraged by news that the government and people of Cuba are already mobilizing action for restoration and recovery, and as I have shared, we're discussing needs and assessments with Ambassador Quinones.
The Jamaica Society for Industrial Security, which represents 28 private security companies, says the recent court ruling has thrown the industry into turmoil. Now, Giovanni Dennis was at the press conference and now joins us live. Giovanni?
Thanks so much, Kalisha. Well, I should start by saying that the president of the Jamaica Society for Industrial Security, George Overton, he noted that the group has no fundamental problem with the court ruling. In fact, he said it was envisioned. The problem, he says, is the immediacy of the court ruling. Now, just to backtrack a little bit and give you some context, the ruling is that the Supreme Court ruled that marksmen, or guardsmen rather, they employed security guards, and their security guards are not independent contractors, but they are in fact employees, and that the company should be paying over their NHT deductions on their behalf. And to be very clear, this is the marksman company. Now, what Mr. Overton is saying is that the companies want a grace period to be able to implement the ruling of the court.
No, we don't have a fundamental problem. We don't have a problem with the court ruling. The court's ruling is final, and we must respect that as citizens of Jamaica. The challenge that we have is that, and we did caution before, that the court ruling would be immediate and definite. So as of the 23rd, which was the date of the delivery of the judgment, at 1 minute past midnight on that morning, that ruling became effective. And that is what has thrown the industry into turmoil.
Now, Mr. Overton argued that businesses are now challenged because they are immediately incurring costs that they did not budget for, and they are having to renegotiate charges with their clients.
We as business operators, on that very same morning, we started to incur costs that had not been negotiated with our clients. We start to incur expenses that were not provided for in our contract pricing. And we also had to change immediately what our relationship was with our security officers. There's no time or room to negotiate our position. The court is definitive and final. So that's the challenge.
Now, Commander Overton said the increase in costs to be passed on to clients like government, banks and other businesses that use security services can be as much as 50%. Kalisha, we'll have more in this developing story in Primetime News.
Thanks so much, Giovanni. And to other news now, the Tourism Ministry is hoping that with COVID-19 travel restrictions now lifted in Canada, the local tourism industry will be able to benefit significantly. The restrictions include mandatory vaccinations, random on-arrival testing, among others. The policy changes will come into effect on October 1. Now, Senior Advisor in the Tourism Ministry, Delano Seawright, says the Canadian federal government's decision to scrap all COVID-19 travel restrictions will serve as a boost for increased stopover visitors from the country. Mr. Seawright says Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett and the Jamaica Tourist Board will lead engagements with several partners in October.
Canada had one of the tightest COVID-19 regimes in all the world, and for a developed country, it's one of the few that still had protocols like that in place. So we have been lagging as it relates to our numbers in and out of Canada, and then we believe that some of these restrictions have served to turn people off. So what we're hoping for is a significant uptick in Canadian travelers.
Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Matthew Samuda, yesterday commissioned the Greater Portmore Wastewater Treatment Plant, which is operated by the National Water Commission, NWC. The plant occupies 170 acres of land in the northwestern section of Greater Portmore. It was first commissioned in 1991. Now, Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine, Fitz Jackson, said the facility was left neglected over the period leading up to the upgrade by the NWC.
And we welcome that. The technology has been proven elsewhere, and you bring it here. So my only plea is that it's two. One is that we maintain we put in place reliable and continuous maintenance program. And number two is that Minister, further to what you said about the catching up. This is not really catching up. This is correcting.
The MP is 100% right that we have to catch up, we have to restore, we have to maintain, and we have to invest ahead in a way that gives MPs, business people in his constituency the ability to invest even before outsiders come. So we have to build in the capacity so that the economy of the area can grow and contribute to the national growth.
And for the latest in the economy, here's Codian Barrett with the Business Minutes.
In the world of business, Jamaicans may soon be able to access the internet through satellite transmission if the license being sought by Starlink Services Jamaica Limited gets the nod from regulators. Starlink is operated by SpaceX, a company owned by American billionaire Elon Musk. Jamaica joins 32 countries in which Starlink has registered a presence. The service offers internet from a constellation of about 2,000 satellites in near space. It builds on earlier satellite dish technology. Starlink's satellites are several miles closer to Earth's orbit, which dramatically reduces latency or interruptions. And in global economy, the European Union has agreed to impose emergency measures to charge energy firms on their record profits. Ministers have agreed windfall taxes on certain energy companies as well as mandatory cuts in electricity use. The plan includes a levy on fossil fuel firms' surplus profits and a levy on excess revenues made from surging electricity cost. The cash raised is expected to go to families and businesses. And coming up in the Business Review this Sunday, how an interior decorating service survived a global recession to become a stable home solution business. That's it for the Business Minute this week. I'm Codian Barrett.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Kalisha Williams. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.